Hello, it is Optimal Nate, and I am back with a new issue from the Star Trek Starship Collection series. This is issue number 8, featuring the U.S.S. Enterprise NCC 1701G. Stay tuned, and when we come back, we will take a look at this box together. Welcome back, everyone. So, this is our new issue 8 from the Star Trek Starships collection, featuring the beloved U.S.S. Enterprise G, which was introduced at the very end of Star Trek Picard Season 3. The front of the cover gives us a beautiful glimpse of the ship traversing through space, with the nice colors coming through the background. Beautiful blend of blue, purple, and some orangish yellow coming off from the back of the warp pylons. I believe this is a beautiful representation of the ship. I still appreciate it as the U.S.S. Titan, which it was introduced as in the beginning of the series from that season. But let's take a look at some of the beautiful artwork on this box. From the side view, we have the ship traveling through space. From the top side, beautiful outline featuring all the intricate details. I love the bold face type used for the Star Trek logo on the side here as well. We have the fan home logo on the side with the website address. And here we have a representation of what our model will look like from the port side. I love that blue lighting right there in the warp nacelles. And then from the back, it's the same as the other boxes you get with your subscriptions. Just a black bold color with the logo, the website, and the literature that you can read at your own time. Let's open this up. So this ship is our bigger version, the XL class edition. So this will be approximately 10 to 11 inches long in length once we get it out to display. Here's your magazine that you get with this issue. And here is another piece of the artwork that we got from the front of our box. You have your table of contents here. Here's a version of art displaying it, what it would look like to appear to be on the stand. You have the front side of the ship, and this is some basic breakdown of the information about the ship. It was commissioned in 2402. Its length is 560.5 meters. Captain is 7 of 9. Weaponry as phasers and photon torpedoes. Defenses are deflectors and metaphasic shields. Pretty solid little ship, even though it's a smaller Enterprise. It does give you some more background on the ship here. It basically tells us that it was the 8th Federation vessel to bear the name Enterprise. Previously known as U.S.S. Titan, it was recommissioned in 2402 to recognize the contribution that the Enterprise D and her crew had made to saving the Federation from a Borg invasion the previous year. Okay. Now, the Enterprise G was a Constitution 3 class ship. It had 28 decks and was 560.5 meters long. Most of the ship's habitable volume was located in the saucer section with the main bridge on deck 1 at the top. The impulse engines were located at the rear of the saucer and ran through decks 3 through 7. So that's quite a distance for impulse engines. So there's more that you can read through on your own time. All right, and here's some more concept artwork of the final renderings. You have the top and bottom view, back, and then you have a starboard side, front. And this is going more into the designs of the ship. Okay, it says Doug Drexler's CG model of the U.S.S. Titan was a digital copy of a physical model Bill Krause made for Star Trek Picard's showrunner Terry Matalas. Alright, and then the design of the Enterprise G has its origins in a fan-built model, the U.S.S. Shangri-La, that was made a decade earlier with no idea of the role it would play in Star Trek history. Funny how little concepts unknown can become such a big hit. And this is actually Krause's model of the Shangri-La, which actually has a name on the saucer there. It was made to be shown at conventions and entered into competitions. It was clearly intended to be a relative of the refit version of the Enterprise and has similar elements, particularly the saucer and the warp nacelles. And there's some other sketches in there you can look over as well. I love hand drawings of these ships. They always fascinate me. And since Krause had sold his original model of the Shangri-La, he agreed to make a new one for Terry Matalas. He had a lot of time to think about the design in the intervening years, so he made some changes, but most obviously he altered the design of the cutout at the back of the saucer, which I do really like that cutout design. Some people have expressed their views on that, and did not find it very favorable, although I do think it makes the ship look unique. And here's another concept here. And then Doug Drexler was handed the task of building a CG version of the Krauss ship. The idea was to work out the details and refine the shape in the art department, and so that was to be before the model was passed to the VFX team, who would build a version that could be used on screen. Without VFX, you won't see much happening on these shows. Trust me. All right. And here's some more specific artwork. Some of that, the literature in there, I cannot read unless I have a magnifying glass. And there's a nice shot of the ship from Space Dock in the show. I love that part in the show. Hands down, that was awesome. And here's some more nice artwork. You can look over here. These will make nice wall prints you can hang up in your house, or if you have a gallery section where you put your models to display. And there's the dedication plaque, which, if I'm not mistaken, if you are subscribed to the Star Trek Starships collection, at some point you will be receiving this as one of your bonus gifts. That I know is still coming out at some point in time, which I have not gotten yet. All right, so there's your booklet. I know it took a lot of time going over that, more so than I have the other ships I've done, but I think it was worth it because this is XL edition. All right, hopefully this one, the warp nacelle stays on and doesn't fall off. And if anybody who's been watching my shows on these ships that I've been doing knows that my very first issue, the warp nacelle broke off up where the Phylon meets there. So, yeah, you do be careful with these. So, I'm going to have to put this box aside for a moment, so give me a moment. So, as with all our issues, I always like to introduce the hockey puck that comes with our ship. You have your bracket to put on to your base, and do not put too much pressure on these. I already broke one in the process. So there's your stand, aka hockey puck. All right, we're going to take our ship and we're going to put this, and unlike some of the other ships, this one hooks right into the back of your saucer. I believe it should still hook up the same way as the original Titan did from our issue 1. All right, so it slips right in there. Because of the size of the ship and type of lens I'm using, it's easier to hold upright like this. The very first thing I'm going to point out is our light fluting here on our warp nacelles is absolutely beautiful. That is the very first thing that draws me into this ship. I freaking love it. And to be honest, right after I paused the video to set up the stand, when I saw how the light was shining through, I seriously thought that they had LED lighting in these warp nacelles to add a little trickle to it, to kind of make them shine through better. But it's not, it's just the way the light shines through. So overall, for this particular ship design, the warp nacelles have always been my favorite for this version. So it's definitely solid. It's honestly, it's not feeling as top or frontwards heavy as the first one I did. I think they did a better job balancing out the weight with this ship. The secondary hull, the warp nacelles, they seem to balance it out pretty decently. Not very shiny. It's a pretty much a matte base paint scheme going on with this ship, but if you look carefully, you can see some of the Aztecing going on here. It almost looks like a weathering effect, the way some of the darker spots shine up around the NCC 171G logo with the Enterprise. That could also be intentionally left to represent what it would have looked like after, well, when you consider all the Titan went through most of season 3 of Picard. It did receive some significant damage from the Shangri, excuse me, the enemy ship there from the Changelings. They did some significant damage to the Titan. So I don't know if that was done intentionally to represent the weathered, kind of tattered look from battle damage, but it did look pretty nice and shiny in Space Dock at the end of the season. So it might be just the way they did this one to give it more of a weathered look. I don't know if others got theirs in the mail with the same effect, but it does continue down the secondary hull through here as well a little bit, so it's probably just the way they decided to do the Aztecing for this particular model. And as noted from the magazine, its decks 4 through 7 is how much space and height your impulse engines take. So these are huge impulse engines, probably as big, almost nearly as big as what you would have almost on the Enterprise D. So for a smaller ship, I mean, it's got some pretty hulking impulse engines. Still doubt it can go to warp 1 with just the impulse, but I imagine they'll definitely push the saucer through space pretty quick. I would like to see specs or other pictures that show if this actually splits apart so the saucer can fly out, if they had to do an emergency separation. I'm going to guess, judging by the design of this model, that it would separate somewhere in here in the secondary hull. So you'd probably have the upper part of this mast here included with the saucer when it ejects. That's what I'm going to go with for that part, and I could be wrong, but that's just the way it looks to me. As far as any flaws, I can't really find any flaws with this ship. I mean, they did a better job balancing it. If anything, maybe some of the colored paint, like our mustard, yellow, copper colors, maybe they could have done a little bit more of a gloss effect in the paint scheme. The bridge up here, it's very plain. Like, they didn't really do a whole lot of effects around there. There could have been more painting done, even around the top of the ship here. They could have touched up some of that, maybe done a little bit better of a paint job. But I digress, only saying these things because I used to build model kits when I was in school. So you would see a lot more detailing in here if you were a model builder. And I'm sure if any model builders out there watching this, you can agree with me. But it does not seem to be lackluster at all. I mean, it's definitely a valid ship to appreciate watching and talking about here in today's video. I do not know what the top warp speed is for this ship. It may have mentioned the show and I just didn't catch that part. I believe it can fly just as fast or maybe a little bit faster than the Enterprise D, but I want to assume at least 9.5 is the max warp. But and there's another glimpse of the light fluting there with the yellow. I guess it's supposed to be orangish, but it looks more like it's yellow if you look at it kind of at an angle here. So beautiful ship overall. Like I said, it's pretty solid. A nice decent resin they use to build these for fan home lovers. So we're almost halfway through. There's 20 issues altogether. This will be the second large ship. We'll have another 3 ships, I believe, and then another large ship. I'm not entirely sure what the last 2 large ships are going to be. So issue 9 will be after this one. This is being issue 8. I'm still hoping to see that Enterprise D come out for this series as they had appeared in Picard Season 3. I would like to see how it looked with the weathered, kind of tattered look they had from the saucer when it had crashed on Veridian 3. So you kind of get that feeling like it's been through some, damage, but it still looks like it fits like they did in the show. A couple other ships I'm looking forward to is the Intrepid, the new Intrepid that was introduced, possibly even doing the Borg ship from the end of the series, the Enterprise D. So those are 3 I'm looking forward to. I believe there's at least 1 or 2 more from the animated series they did in Star Trek. So who knows, maybe even Strange New Worlds. They'll have a couple ships still. They already had Captain Kirk's old ship that was featured earlier on in this series. Well, I do appreciate doing these reviews for you guys and you taking your long appreciated time to watch these videos, as I do make them a little bit longer than most of my other videos. I will drop link in the description so you guys can watch the older issues I've reviewed. Please don't forget to give this a thumbs up, as this does help the channel and get these reviews out there for the rest of our Star Trek fans. Remember, these are the voyages of the Star Trek Enterprise, our continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned for more Star Trek from yours truly, Nate.